Welcome to Legends in Leadership, brought to you by ISF and the Carrington Group. Legends in Leadership is an inspirational podcast featuring the stories of leaders who are making a difference. Our goal is to inspire you with the stories of leaders who come from humble beginnings, overcome challenges, and ultimately rise up to make a difference in people's lives.
Hello, and welcome to Legends in Leadership. This is your host, Jason Smith, and I'm a family officer with the Carrington Group, joined today by my co-host, Dr. Blair Ritchie, Executive Director of the International Student Foundation. So welcome back after a one-week break.
Yeah, it's good to be back, Jason.
Yeah. So something big on your mind in the ISF world coming up. You want to share a little bit of details about that with us?
Yes, please. We are jazzed about the upcoming ISF Gala. We happen, in our humble opinion, to host the best gala in Dallas because we have this formula. That if you put just really great food and drink, and Chef Richard Chamberlain helps us with that. You put some great entertainment. We got Craig Cargis, a great illusionist, mentalist, great guy. And then you put the inspiration that comes with people like Christina Meredith, who's foster care student or child, and then becomes Miss California's. Great stories from ISF kids. It's a wonderful, inspiring evening. So that's November 2nd, and tickets are on sale at our website, isfsite.org, and just extend an invitation to everyone in Dallas to come on out for a great Saturday night.
Looking forward to it. So our trivia for the week, what do you have for us in leadership trivia?
Well, our podcast today has a law enforcement kind of motif, theme, so I've chosen one of the most colorful leaders in American history. The only president, I believe this is true, who had been a police officer.
Wow.
He was born into a wealthy New York City family. This leader suffered from a debilitating asthma condition as a child, which he overcame by embracing a strenuous lifestyle. After his wife and mother died only hours apart on the same day, he chose to handle his grief by moving west to the Dakota territories, where he became a deputy sheriff. When he moved back to New York, eventually he became the New York City Police Commissioner, where he made it a habit to go on walks in the middle of the night to check out that his officers were on duty. So There you go. Wow. His political career, which is quite amazing, included serving as a governor, a vice president, and eventually a two-term president of the United States. And that career was interspersed with heroic military exploits, amazing foreign adventures, and an undying love for nature and a respect for nature's God. So who is this legendary leader? I'll be back at the end of today's program with the answer.
I have no guesses, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. You'll be surprised.
Yeah. I'm excited to welcome to our podcast today Stacey Magovern with Point Blank Safety Services. She was born and raised in Abilene, Texas, and moved to California for college. She graduated from National University in San Diego, earning her Bachelor of Arts in Communications. Stacey then built a successful career in sales. After deciding California was no place for that Texas girl, Stacey returned to the Lone Star State, where she met the love of her life, Michael Magovern, a police officer in Abilene, Texas. Michael and Stacey married and moved to Dallas-Fort Worth in 2007. During their time in DFW, Stacey learned what most people don't know about police officers. Now, these amazing people that put their lives on the line every day are paid very little in most departments. So law enforcement officers rely on off-duty work to make ends meet. And some actually earn more in the off-duty work than they do working in their departments. As the wife of a police officer, helping these officers became a passion for Stacey. She started Point Blank Safety Services in 2012, a management company that employs off-duty police officers for highway safety work. After huge success as CEO and founder of Point Blank Safety, Stacey wanted to find a way to do more for police officers and their families. As a result, Blue Family Fund, Inc. was created, and she is listed as the secretary and founder of the nonprofit. A lot going on, Stacey. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm a busy girl.
Well, I'm curious to learn a little bit about growing up in Abilene, Texas, and maybe hear about some of the early influences in your life that set you on a path to be a trailblazer.
Sure. Yeah, my grandparents were in retail. My parents were in retail. Many clothing stores in my history. I can remember, 12 years old in the back room wrapping presents at Christmas time, cleaning the bathrooms, all the things that no one wanted to do. My mom would stick that job with me. So I've done everything in a retail store, from ordering to wrapping gifts to writing up tickets to, all of it, delivering clothes, anything you can think of. I've done it all. And so my mom, she's really actually the original entrepreneur, because she started young. She opened her first retail store when I was 5 months old, and grew it to five locations, all in Abilene, Texas, which, if you don't know, Abilene, Texas, there's a couple of colleges and an Air Force base. And I mean, that's it. So she got really fortunate and had some real success during the oil boom out there. And so I guess it was just always in my blood. I was just brought up to believe that you're supposed to own your own business. You're supposed to, change the world and never give up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So what was the first opportunity that you took then to strike out and sow those entrepreneur roots?
Crazy. There was a lingerie store that went up for sale when I was 23 years old. I'd just come back from California. And of course, my mom was like, well, you got to buy it. And so, and a lot of people back then thought that my mom bought it for me or helped, but absolutely not the case. I got an SBA loan and bought the business and did really well for several years. And then Victoria's Secret decided to launch in every shopping mall across America. Right. So, and Abilene included. So, that was really my first, I wouldn't really call it a failure, but it was definitely a learning lesson that, success, you may have a little, but it's definitely not guaranteed forever. So after that, I went to work for Nextel back when the walkie-talkie thing was the rage, and did really well with Nextel, won several awards, went on many sales trips. And at one point when I was receiving an award, the CEO of Nextel at the time said, Stacey, if you're this good in a small little town like Abilene, what would you be like in a big city? Yeah. And that really stuck with me. I don't know, it just, some things hit you, and just resonate. And I was like, wow, what a true statement. So I left Nextel when they merged with Sprint, and that whole thing went on. And Michael and I decided to move to DFW. And at that time, I had no clue what my next adventure would be. I took a couple of sales positions, but really had no idea what the next thing for me was. And then, it just sort of hit me as a wife of a police officer. I realized really quickly that these guys need off-duty work. They really rely on it, especially in our situation, because he was a police officer working in a small city for a low wage, and I was in commission sales. Well, everyone knows in commission sales, 1 month's great, and then the next month you're eating beans and weenies. So, it's up, it's down, it's everywhere. Yeah. So, he would get calls for off-duty work, but it would be so sporadic. We never knew when the next off-duty job was going to come, so there was no way to budget. There was no way to plan. And then if he did get an off-duty job, we didn't know when we were going to get paid. It might be 6 months down the way, because these big companies, they don't pay fast. So anyway, I guess I kind of came up with my next big idea, and I told my husband, I told my parents, I said, what if there was a marketplace for off-duty work, or a management company, if you will, for off-duty work. And it's funny, my parents, they were in their 70s at the time, and they're like, that's not a thing. Like,
what do you sell?
Yeah, like, what are you talking about? Like, you have to get a brick and mortar, and you have to have a store, and
send out mailers.
Yeah,
and coupons.
Ad in the newspaper.
Right.
Like, but they believed in me and supported me, but thought I was totally crazy, and probably am a little bit. And my husband said, he believed in me, but he thought, maybe we'd get one off-duty job or something, a little security here and there, but I kind of thought bigger than that. Yeah. So anyway.
So you became a leader at a relatively young age, in your early 20s,
yes,
buying that store. I'm curious, as you look back, what did that teach you? What did that help you learn along the way that you look back to and realize, hey, you know what? I'm using that today.
so many things. Value the people that work with you. You know, a boss or a true leader doesn't ask anyone to do anything that they're not willing to do.
Yeah.
And that's a hard one to learn at 23, by the way, because you know, you think you're the boss. But yeah, definitely don't ask anyone to do anything you're not willing to jump in the trenches and do. And you know, don't get cocky. I mean, I thought I have this store, it's going to be great forever, and you know, the money's always going to be rolling in, and you know, it's not always the case. A business is something you got to really tend to, almost like a garden. You know, you got to tend to it and work it and expand and grow with the trends and everything that changes all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I learned a lot. But you know what? I also think everything happens when it's supposed to, because I think back and I think if I would have had the success I have now in my 20s, like, would I have appreciated it like I do now? And would have I babied it and taken such great care of it as I do now? You know, I probably would have done the fancy cars and fancy homes and the stuff, you know, because 23, it's different. So I think everything happens when it's really supposed to. It's all about timing in life.
So true. You know, when you drill down into most entrepreneurial ventures, there's that I saw a need and I stepped in to fill that need.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what you did. You saw a need and you stepped into it. And yet there's a lot of risk taking involved with that. So let's talk about your journey with risk and some of the steps you had to take early on that probably stretched you a lot.
Oh, yeah. Well, I worked starting Point Blank Safety for 2 years. You know, that's the part, you know, people think it happens overnight. It doesn't.
Right.
It's a lot of hard work. I was working a full-time job. I was raising 2 kids, a husband that's a police officer, so he's, you know, really never around. And in my spare time, I like to say, I was trying to build this company. You know, I knew that TxDOT uses police officers on their highway construction sites. So I knew that's where I needed to go, because I knew that was guaranteed off-duty work for these guys. So, you know, I would, you know, make a cold call for my day job, and then while I'm at that cold call or leaving that cold call, I'd stop in, you know, at a construction company and try to drop off some information or whatever. I mean, at that time, I was literally, you know, me and a business card.
Right.
I mean, there was no company, if you will. But
And one off-duty police officer to hire out.
Exactly. So I finally found this one, you know, sometimes it just takes that one person that believes in you. And I found that one person at this huge joint venture that was expanding 35W from Dallas to Denton. And he loved the idea. He believed in me. I had sold him some things along the way in my sales career. And you know, he got it, if you will. Yeah. And, you know, it helps if that one person can also write a big contract. But he believed in me. And so, you know, it was one day, September of 2014. I'd been working this since 2012 when we founded the company. And like I said, I was just a person and a business card. But the doorbell rang. I was in my bathroom getting ready for work, just like any other day. The doorbell rang, and it was FedEx. And they had a package for Point Blank Safety. Well, you have to understand, Point Blank Safety didn't get packages. I was like, what? So open it up, and it's a 300-page, $1.5 million contract for Point Blank Safety to use our officers for traffic control on the 35E widening project from Dallas to Denton. Was a 3-year project. So, you know, the first thought is, okay, wait, how many zeros are in a million? Wait, yeah. And then, you know, it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, because now I have the work, but now I got to go get the officers, right? And at that time, they wanted us to start in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then you read deeper into the contract, and it says you must have $5 million in insurance to even set foot on a TxDOT job. Well, you get a quote for $5 million worth of insurance. It's about $14,000. I didn't have $14,000. I didn't have $2,000 at the time. So a lot of people at that point would go, okay, well, it's not going to work. I'm not going to be able to do this. But I just said, nope, I'm going to make this work. I'm not giving up. And I sold everything we had and borrowed and begged and from credit cards and everything and made it happen.
That's amazing.
And here we are today, you know.
Oh.
You know, what I appreciate about your story there is you've mentioned the fact that there's other people involved in that success, you know, and this sense that one person overnight becomes a success, you know, just doesn't hold up. As you mentioned, the key contract opportunity, and so many police officers willing to sign up and say, yeah, you know what, we'll take that chance, we'll work with you.
Well, and that's the part I'm most proud of. I mean, yes, it's been great for me and my family, obviously, but I've been able to change the lives of over 200 police officers.
Yeah.
They can now they can stay being a police officer, which is what most of them love. It's kind of a career you're born with that police desire. I say, I don't think it's really taught, or I think you're just born to be a police officer, and probably same with salespeople. You just have that inner drive, but been able to really, they can really count on having the off-duty work. They can let us know in advance how many days they need to either just make the bills or to plan for a vacation they may have never been able to afford, or whatever. And so I'm really proud of that, and it's a big thing.
Yeah. So what does your team look like today? From solopreneur, beating the streets, what does your team look like today?
Well, it's really still just, I'm still the sales person in the team. We have some police officers that help us with some of the scheduling and stuff. Michael, my husband, does all the scheduling. He handles all the officers. I do all the payroll, all the contracts with the clients, all that sort of thing. And then, one thing I've learned is I outsource a lot.
Okay.
Outsourcing is huge.
Yeah.
Figure out what you're good at and stick with that. I'm good at sales. I'm good at contracts. Not so good at the busy stuff, the taxes and all that. So, find somebody who is and outsource to them. And, it saves a ton of headache down the way.
Well, and that's how growth happens, isn't it? Because
Right.
you sometimes can get pulled into areas where you don't know yourself well enough, perhaps, or you don't know what your key is to make this thing work.
Exactly.
I'm just intrigued at how the convergence of not only the need that businesses had or the state had, but the need in police officers' lives. And I'd like to plumb that a little bit in terms of being married to a police officer, and just what has been that kind of a journey to look at the challenges that our police officers face, and some of what's going on with that, and how you guys have come alongside of that and really helped make some things possible. You kind of alluded to that a little bit, but let's explore that a little bit deeper.
Sure. Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that the smaller towns don't have big budgets. They can't pay police officers what they're worth. Some of the larger cities, Dallas, Fort Worth, Frisco, Addison, they have a budget for the police department, and those guys make decent money. But in the smaller towns, they don't even really make a living wage. I mean, Michael at one point was working out in West Texas for $18,000 a year.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Full time?
Yeah. So, and here's the crazy part is that some of those guys that he knew out in West Texas when he was an officer out there work for us today. So they'll maybe take a couple of days off and drive to DFW and work for us for like 2 or 3 days straight, and then drive back and go back to work. So yeah, it's sad that they need this off-duty work. I mean, it's great for us and our company, but it's sad that that's really the state of so many departments. People don't realize.
Well, there's a real need. I had the privilege of, for a couple of years at ISF, one of our foster care students who aged out had a criminal justice and had this desire to be a police officer. And
Right.
so I had the joy of just being his mentor for a couple of years and still welcome him into our home a lot, and just a great relationship. And he got into the Dallas Police Academy, and just the whole challenge of being a police officer.
Yeah.
And learning the need for character and the stress and it's just a rough job. And he today is a police officer and relies on some side gigs to make it all work. And yet the stress of being a police officer and the tensions that come with that in so many communities, this is a crazy day, and it's a hard day. And there's a lot of needs for people like what you do in terms of not only just providing some outlets for economics in that, but also the support factor for the challenges that police officers are facing.
Right. I never imagined I would see a day where people wouldn't respect the police. Right. It blows my mind every day. It's a crazy time. It's also a crazy time because, everyone wants police for their off-duty events or their meetings or churches or even in the schools. Everyone wants to hire police, for their security instead of just a security guard, because they really want someone that can take action and do something.
Right.
And that's also a sad thing that it's like
The
that
sad
today.
reality of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The active shooters and so forth. And we've actually added that to our services that we offer. We offer an active shooter course for corporations so they can be aware of what to do and how to respond. And it's sad that that's necessary, but we want to do everything we can to make sure people are safe and know how to respond. Yeah.
Well, in these challenging times, what keeps you sharp and optimistic and positive? Are there books you read? Are there groups you're a part of? To taper maybe some of the less fun aspects of the industry you're in and just the business climate in general.
Yeah, I'm a member of several Facebook groups that are kind of surrounded by about entrepreneurs and focused on that entrepreneurial mindset. And I'm always open to grow and expand and try new things. But I also like helping other people. I mean, I've been really successful, and so if I can help someone else with an idea or a tip or anything to kind of get them going on their journey, I love that. I find it inspiring and motivating, and it's great to watch people succeed.
Your commitment to this community of police officers has taken another step with the foundation that you've founded. Tell us a little bit about how that came to light and why you. Why did Stacey need to take action to help with this challenge?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was looking around at different nonprofits and charities, and there's some really great ones out there, don't get me wrong. But there's also a lot out there that maybe a tenth of what you donate actually goes to the cause. And that's really frustrating to me, because to me, if I'm giving my hard-earned money, or anyone is giving their hardearned money, they really want to believe it's going to the cause, not going to maybe a CEO that's making $700,000 a year or whatever. I don't believe in that structure, I guess. So, Michael and I have been really successful, and just said, what can we do? And on top of that, we kept getting inquiries from officers. Hey, my friend was injured in the line of duty, and he's really struggling to kind of make it past that hump to where he maybe gets some benefits or whatever, and or fallen in the line of duty, and the wife, that was the sole income for the family. And is there anything Point Blank could do? How can we help? And so I just said, there's got to be something we could do. So we looked into, and I knew nothing about running a nonprofit, by the way, but I looked into starting our own, and we did. We founded Blue Family Fund in 2017, and that was right after we founded and got our 501c3. Harvey happened.
Oh, yeah.
So we found out about a ton of police officers down in the Houston area who lost their homes, which wasn't our exact mission, but it was what was needed at the time. So we were able to donate 500 sheets of sheetrock to the Port Arthur Police Department, so those officers could start rebuilding their homes after Harvey. That was our first big project. And then since then, we've been able to donate to multiple families of fallen officers. We've been able to do 2 different scholarships for dependents of police officers. So, we're not changing lives through our nonprofit. I mean, I guess you could say we are, but we're really just getting the families, because a lot of times there are benefits that they're going to get, but it might take 6 months or whatever for them to get. So we're just kind of getting them over that hump until they can get things established again after a traumatic event or injury or loss.
And adding financial stress to whatever else is going on just really salt to the wound.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're so new. We were founded in 2017, and so we're just looking to get the word out about us, and that, we don't take salaries out of our nonprofit. We pay all the bills for the nonprofit out of our for-profit business. So literally every penny that you donate to Blue Family Fund goes to a police family.
That's great. So how are you raising the funds and awareness so people can help?
Yeah, well, we're on... we have a website, bluefamilyfund.org. We're on Facebook. We do fundraisers for different officers. But our big fundraiser for this year is coming up in November. It's November 8th, trying something totally new. It's a hopscotch bourbon tasting and silent auction fundraiser. We're selling tickets. They're $100 a piece. The event is going to be at the Rebecca Creek Saloon at Ranger Stadium.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's a cool venue. And the tickets are $100 a piece, and they cover all your spirits, all your appetizers, and then we're going to have a really fun live auction and silent auction as well.
Great.
Yeah, and we're going to have a cigar company that's going to be doing cigar rolling demos and things like that. So it should be a lot of fun.
Oh, good. And people visit the website to purchase tickets for that, or is there another way?
Facebook, we have tickets for sale on Facebook. Blue Family Fund is our Facebook page, and then they're also on Eventbrite.
Okay. Well, there you go. You got 2 weekends planned for events in November. ISF Gala, and then hit the Blue Family Fund event.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, it's been a real pleasure having you on our show today, and appreciate you taking the time to visit with us and share some of your story and leadership nuggets.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Blair, it's time to hear what president was a former police officer.
You want to take a stab at this?
I truly have no idea. I mean,
if I told you that he was linked to some Rough Riders, you might know.
Oh, well, yeah.
And if I told you that he's been memorialized on a mountain in South Dakota, you might know who it is.
Yeah, that would give it away.
That would give it away. That's why I didn't say that, right? So Teddy Roosevelt is today's leader.
Excellent.
Yeah. Fun
had no
story.
idea about his law enforcement background.
There you
Interesting.
go. Yep.
Well, folks, that's a wrap for our episode today. I want to again thank our special guest, Stacey Magovern, and on behalf of my co-host, Dr. Blair Ritchie, wishing you a good day. And remember this: if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are a leader.
Legends in Leadership is brought to you by the Carrington Group. Carrington Group is a family office with a passion for helping business leaders and their families make smart choices and fulfill their highest aspirations. To learn more about the Carrington Group, visit their website at www.carringtonfo.com or Google Carrington Group, Dallas, Texas. ISF is committed to leadership development for aged-out foster care and orphaned youth. ISF's mission is to transform these youth into tomorrow's leaders with scholarships, mentoring, and leadership training. To learn more about ISF, visit their website at isfsite.org or Google International Student Foundation to learn more.
Securities offered through Regulus Advisors, LLC. Member FINRA/SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Regal Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Regulus Advisors and Regal Investment Advisors are affiliated entities. Carrington Group and this broadcast are independent of Regulus Advisors and Regal Investment Advisors.